the Trump thing, the Trump Kamala thing. I don't know. Maybe we can keep this footage. We can. Why we're not interested in talking about it. Um,
Yeah,
but
basically, here's something I think is interesting is basically I personally was really interested 4 years ago. 8 years ago, I didn't really get the Trump thing or whatever, and now I'm basically off the chessboard or whatever. And I think a lot of people are kind of it's a kind of a that's a trend or whatever. People just kind of disengaging from the political system, and then it's like, why is that happening?
Mm.
Um,
Well, I'd say it's for the same reason that farming is important. So that's exactly why people are disengaging from the political system is because it's too nationalized. It's not localized enough, right? And that's why, like when I was, this is something I did actually reflect on when I was at my aunt's house. Is even something as simple as eating eggs that were that I cracked that were from the backyard opened up another world that I couldn't have opened up on my own. I couldn't have forced it open. But there was something that clicked in my head whenever I cracked that egg that was enormous to me. And it was as enormous as the trees, the revelation of this egg came from a stone's throw from where I was sleeping, basically. And I picked apples from a tree in my backyard, right? And I think that carries over to politics in kind of a roundabout way, but ultimately people aren't they're becoming really not concerned with what politicians in the presidential office have to say. It's just a lot of it is important in the grand scheme, but people are starting to feel closed into their locales because they want to go and control what they can control, right? Feel like politicians aren't in control. They want to feel in control, but everything that's local these days is not in their control. It's industrial. It's from far away. Like, what do we have to do with the margaritas at Applebee's? Nothing. We don't have anything to do with that. So there's no infrastructure in place for people to actually care about their locale. And there's no infrastructure in place for people to feel like they actually have an important say in presidential elections. So people are tapping out.
and you don't have a say, obviously, in the presidential election because it's so vast in a very kind of, if not unnatural way, just hard to influence way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that's basically the case. Um,
yeah, no,
yeah, Philip, how long? Well, maybe there isn't a simple answer to this question, but with politics and stuff, I'm sure Graham, you would say 2016, you were like wearing the MAGA hat and stuff, and then it's like 2020, you're kind of past that, let's say, you know, but still enjoying maybe the Trump chaos,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
and then but basically, Philip, my question to you is when did you maybe step off or turn off the politics or the news and stuff like that? Because I'm pretty
oh,
sure you have done that.
oh yeah. I mean, like probably I don't know, probably 2019, 2018, somewhere around that time. It got to a certain point where like you just don't really care anymore because you have these real problems in front of you. Like that's when I went to the homeless shelter in New York City. It's like there are people starving in front of me. And these guys get up here and they run their damn mouths. Yeah, Dada, hello. Come here, buddy. Uh, it's like, look, it's like these people get up here, they run their damn mouths, and then you get things to take care of, right? You have people to take care of, like little babies, and it's like, okay, this is what's in front of me. This is what I have to take care of. This is my concern. It's not like it's the homeless people who are in front of me. It's my community that's in front of me, right? And the problem is that we have a highest identity, right, as Christians, and then we have the lower identity at the communal level, your parish, your family, whoever, right? The political spectrum sort of plugs itself in this very awkward way, right? It's like, no, 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 because because what happens? You have Father Stephen DeYoung was talking about this recently. After the 30 Years' War, when you have people killing each other of different religions, they come up with an idea. They say, well, instead of being united by religions, let's be united by nation states. Well, I'm a German and a Catholic. I'm a German and I'm Protestant. I'm German and thus and such. Same thing with the French, Italian, whoever, right? British. And that awkwardly inserts itself. And so now these people, right, they prop themselves up, they gain more and more power, and then it really reached its sort of final straw with the boomers. The boomers are really the last people who actually place their identity in these things, right? Who care about the temple to Abraham Lincoln, right? Who care about the monolithic, God structure to George Washington, right? Like, I don't give, like, who gives a shit about that, right? Okay, there's got to be a way for us to acknowledge our leaders and sort of respect them as as royalty, but they're not appointed by God, right? As the kings of old would have been. They have tried to replace God, which is an even worse thing. And so once you start to wake up and realize that, right? Like once you start to wake up and realize that, that doesn't matter anymore because they're just going to keep talking, and then you realize like the power structures that have set these things up, you can't, because people our age, right? What's our biggest struggle? Well, we can't pay for a house, we can't pay for whatever, and you have the boomers. Oh, well, you should just work 50 hours a week and retire with your five, and it connects back to the farming, your 501, your 401k, and your pension fund. Why don't you just have those things and you'll be really good? And forgive student loans. I paid for college. I work. It's like, well, yeah, no shit, because college cost $3,000 when you went. And so, but where did all these things come from? Well, it comes from the federal government, right? All these problems stem from the Federal Reserve and printing all this money, and now we're in debt. And so it's like, okay, you've put us in the debt in this first place. You promised us these things, right? You've set yourself up as these gods, and it's fallen flat on its face. So how am I going to take care of myself? Well, it's not by putting my trust in you anymore, right? It's by going back to a way of life where people would support each other, because the federal government, it's not supporting anyone. It's leading to the collapse of all of these other structures. And when people realize that the structure that they have propped up to replace all of these other ones, it doesn't work.
And government will always fail when it behaves that way because
Yeah,
the government is, in order to make itself in control, which it has to do if it's going to say it's the highest order in business, not God, it has to provide material things for you. That's what it has to do because it's
yeah,
fundamentally a material phenomenon, government. And so when it stops providing these material things, or rather gives you space to provide your own material things, that's when people become jaded. And I
yeah,
think people are becoming jaded because they're realizing the whole system is fundamentally elementary, right? Like engaging in these politics, engaging in the national conversation against like the two suspiciously only present parties. This is becoming very jading to people. They realize that they don't care about their kids. The fertility rate is reflected by the development of society, or the low fertility rate rather, right, is indicative of a nation that doesn't really care about people, right? Because the foundation of all people is that we can make more, right? We plant a tree and we expect that it'll grow even when we're dead. But the government's not even doing that. It's looking to something else. And on the boomer thing, I saw a funny tweet a couple weeks ago that said that what baby boomers did was basically the thing where, you live in a house with people and you use up all the toilet paper but the last little piece, and then you leave it on the roll for someone else to change. Like you should change or wipe with it, but you leave it anyway. And that's a little bit like what boomers have done with wealth. I was talking to my pop about this the other day. This is exactly what's happening with supermarkets and farmers' land, right? Private enterprises are now becoming the number one owners of farmland in the United States, and this is taking away wealth from the community. What's that? Because the farmers have hundreds of acres of land. Publix comes in and makes an offer they can't refuse, so to speak. They sell the land, and now money is not local. Wealth is not local. You can't produce anything on that land, and that tears people away from their identity of where they belong.